All right.
Alright, I want to apologize for my voice. I happened to get sick the day before my speech. It kind of sucks, but I'm trying my best. Did you guys know that the average U.S. household pays about $110.55 for electricity only, which is about 958 kilowatt hours a month? And me personally, I think that's more what we usually need. Today I will be talking about how we use more electricity than needed and how we can save money and energy at the same time, ways we can save money. I'm going to talk about examples that we do on a daily basis that shows how we use up electricity unnecessarily. And I'll also be talking about how we can save electricity and money at the same time. And I'll also show you ways companies nowadays are using ways of saving money and electricity at the same time. And I also have a personal experience that will help me support, to show you guys that, there's things we do that we could just cut down the way, not only what energy we use, but also save some money in our pocket, The first thing I want to discuss with you guys today is, things we do on a daily basis, I happen to do this all the time. I'm watching TV, I get sleepy, fall asleep, leave the TV on. Couple hours maybe, if I'm really sleepy, couple hours and not a couple minutes. But either way, no one's watching the TV, there's no need for it to be on. But there's simple things that we can do to, help solve that problem, which could be, usually TVs have timers, just set, if you're tired, set the sleeper timer on and, watch the TV, you pass out, it turns off. If not, it turns off, you turn it back on, set the timer on again. Start doing that more often. There's another thing we do, well at least I do. These are all, personal experiences that I've gone through, which, say, I walk into my house, I turn on one light, walk into another room, turn on another light, and I leave that light on. There's no one in the room, but the light's on, there's no need for that light to be on. I could, help my parents save some money, so I, start sticking in my head, teaching myself, just turn off the switch. You're not in there, just turn off the switch, turn off the TV, radio, whatever it is. Like, for example, yesterday, I'm working on my speech and other things for school. I'm working on the computer, I got the computer on, I got the TV on behind me. I'm the only one home, TV don't need to be on, but it's on. I don't know why, I pay attention to what I'm doing in my speech and all the information I'm looking up, and I'm like, I'm doing it myself, so I turn around, get up and turn off the TV and go back to the computer. It's just, there's little things that we do that maybe we don't notice, but there's those little things who can help out in the long run, save some money for us. And the way things are right now with the economy, I think everybody could use that. The second thing I want to talk to you guys about is ways we can save electricity and money by just changing certain things in our household. One way we can save electricity is by changing, all the light bulbs in our house to those new light bulbs that usually say energy saver on them, that you see mostly in stores now. As smartmoney.com states, that if you switched all the light bulbs in your home from conventional incandescent to compact fluorescent bulbs, or CFLs, you'd be saving about $270 a year. So I don't know about you guys, but $270 I could do a lot. And $270, that's pretty good to me a year. And just that, and then by also putting all together with turning off the switches, turning off things you don't need, and that adds up. Another way is, unplugging things you're not using. Say you have stereos, you could leave them unplugged, whenever you need them, just plug them back in. Even though you think it's off, but you still got, some have little clocks or just little things, there could be maybe 3 or 4 things in your household that could just be plugged in. They're not on, but they're still using electricity for certain things. And you just leave them unplugged. I know, me, lazy, don't want to unplug it, plug it, unplug, whenever we're using it. But I mean, just, little things that we put effort in that will help us, save that energy and also save money for ourselves. And, some of us have guest rooms, and you got TVs and their radios, whatever it is. just leave everything unplugged. No one's using that room until someone, you know, a family member comes over or something sleeps over. You can leave those things unplugged. You know, that also helps out a lot. And third thing I want to share with you guys is I've noticed myself the other day I went to Target, you know, that stores now are even, you know, making a big change in that to help them save money. Maybe that money could help them, you know, have more employers instead of wasting all that money on the electricity they have. I was walking down the aisle of Target, you know, now they have freezer sections and stuff like that, food and all that. And the freezers have LED sensor lights in all the aisles, so if no one's in there, the lights are off in the freezers. You walk by, they turn on. I think that's a very, you know, it might be costly at first, but it'll pay off in the long run and help save money and energy, and maybe could help, you know, that little money you have could help pay for another employer and help out the economy, you know, help raise it. And also, in the restrooms, you know, you walk in, the lights turn on. Sensors, you know, sensors are a big thing. I didn't even notice it here in college, you know. Some of the other classrooms, you walk in, the lights turn on. They got sensors. Helps out a lot. And also, like I said, another big thing they do is they change their light bulbs in the home. How we change our light bulbs in our home to help us save money, they do the same thing in stores. Care2.com states that TJX, the name behind brands such as TJ Maxx and Marshalls, have been taking action on these issues for years. They have changed their bulbs to T5 fluorescent bulbs, which are 50% less resource intensive than non-fluorescent. 50%, that's a pretty, you know, dramatic change, and I think if all companies, you know, got to maybe, I don't know, they can get together, share how they've changed things and how, you know, other people have, and try to put it all together so that everybody could do it. I think not only will we be helping out the, you know, our environment, but we'll be saving money, which is right now I think is a pretty big deal. Personal experience, my parents, there are managers at a complex where we live right now. They've been managers there for 17 years. And just recently, 2 months ago, they started talking about, you know, all the association came together and wanted to talk about, you know, things that they could do to save money. And where me and my dad work at a factory, they started putting sensor lights in all the lights they have in the factory. So my dad brought it up in the meeting, and the president of the association liked the idea. And we have 4 driveways. Each driveway has 10 garage storage spaces in each driveway. And he said we're going to put sensors in them. So me, my dad, and the president of the association did it ourselves. You know, it's nothing hard. We bought the sensors. We did 2 driveways. And a month later, I asked the president of the association if, you know, if he saw any change in the bill. And he told me, just with those 2 driveways, the bill dropped by half, because the lights would stay on all night from, you know, sundown to sunrise. Those would be off. But now with the sensors, you open your garage, if it senses someone in there, it turns off. No one's in there after 10 minutes, it turns off. So, you know, just little things, and they're not hard to do. I installed them myself. I ain't no electrician, but just read the instructions, you can get it done. So, you know, just little things like that we could do to save money and also save energy, you know, to help us out in the long run. And so I showed you guys how, you know, we could, you know, things that we do that there's not necessary, you know, to leave the TV on, leave the radio on. If you're not in the room, leave the lights on, you're not in that room. You know, things that we could do to save money and save energy at the same time. And I showed you how, you know, even companies nowadays have it also in, you know, in their companies, in their buildings. And I hope that will encourage you guys to maybe, you know, when you're home, turn off the light. You're not using the TV, turn off the TV. Whatever it is, you're listening to music, you're not no more, turn it off. You know, fall asleep, use the timer. Remember that one, I do it all the time. And just, you know, try to help yourself out, you know, or if you live with your parents, help your parents out. That little things like that will help out in the long run. And I want to leave you guys with a quote. I don't know exactly who said it, but I'm pretty sure many of you have heard it. And it's, go green.